My name is Debra Hayes, and I was born in Smith County in Marion. Lived here all of my life. Well, I went to school at Ferrum for 2 years, and then I transferred to Emory Henry. Mainly, I played basketball and volleyball, and I was on the tennis team for a little while, but then I had an afternoon class, so I didn't finish playing tennis. That was it, just that. After Emory, I taught at a facility for handicapped students, and I did adapted PE with handicapped children. And then I taught school at Marion Middle School for 33 years and coached basketball, coached cheerleading and track and field. And I coached for years and was very successful at basketball and track, needless to say. At Marion High School, if you weren't, and I hate to say this, but I'm just going to be honest. Is that what you want me to be honest?
As honest as possible.
Okay. Going to college was not talked about a lot, except to a elite group. And so I really never heard I knew my mother went to college, but I didn't know what college was. So I just took general subjects in high school. And one day my twin sister said she was going to college. And I knew my older sister went somewhere, but I didn't know where she went. So my twin sister said she was going to college. I said, well, I'm going too. And so I got in Ferrum and had no idea about what college was. I just knew I wanted to play basketball. That's the only thing I knew was I wanted to play basketball. And when we got there, my twin sister and I got there, first thing we did was take our stuff to our room and head to the gym. So I played basketball and tennis and a little bit of track there at Ferrum. And it was, at the time, it had just turned into a 4-year, but they were just starting out, so the program wasn't up to par. So I was at a state tennis tournament in Boar's Head in, I think it's up near Washington, I'm not sure, but I think so. And well, Roanoke College had been hounding me about coming to Roanoke. And I never would give them an answer because I didn't really understand the whole process anyway. But we were playing tennis, and this lady came up to me and introduced herself, and it was Miss Hutton, Eleanor Hutton. And she introduced herself and just started talking to me, and she asked me what I was going to do when I graduated from Ferrum, and I said, I don't know, I just want to play basketball. I don't know. And I really did not have a clue, but there was something about Miss Hutton that she didn't hound me. She was just down to earth, and she said, would you be interested in coming to Emory? And I said, sure. I didn't know where Emory Henry was. Growing up in Marion, I'd never heard of Emory Henry. Now, we had some cousins that lived in a place called Blacksburg that was down the road. We thought it was a far place. Had no idea that Emory was right there. So anyway, I said yes. So Miss Hutton said, okay. So I just took it under the assumption, okay, I'm going to Emory. So that's how I got to Emory. And Miss Hutton told me years later, she said, that Emory was always talking about wanting minority students and what they could do to get minority students. And she said, and she told them, well, now you've got one that wants in, and you let her in. Miss Hutton went to bat for me for so many things there. And I didn't have the shoes, I didn't have any money. Didn't have just the normal things that you would have, sweatsuits and all of that stuff. And Miss Hutton just looked out for me, and I owe her so much. I appreciate her so much for going to bat for me. There was a student there I think that he was a GAM, and he was from Grundy. And from high school, Grundy was a place where black people were not welcomed. You didn't step foot in Grundy. And when our football team would go over there to play, they had to take the police and stuff with them because we had black guys on the football team. Well, this guy was at Emory, and his nickname was Grundy, and his real name was Ken Smith. And he had this big old truck, and it had a Confederate flag in the back of it. And he wore a Confederate hat and had a beard and was just real Confederate looking. And I'm not even sure how I met Grundy, but somehow we met, and he wasn't very nice to me. I don't think he even spoke to me, but I decided that day that I was going to be friends with him, that we were going to be friends before I left Emory. And the day that we graduated, he introduced me to his parents. And that's one thing that I won't ever forget, that I was determined that Grundy and I were going to be friends, Ken Smith, that we were going to be friends. And we were. We ended up being really good friends. Well, most of all, I think because we need to realize that we all are the same. We all have the same struggles. We all bleed the same way. And if you can get your athletes together on one page, then those athletes can go out and change the world. If we learn how to get along as athletes and feel each other's pain and love each other and build that family, then we go out, and then those 5 or 12 or whatever's on your team can go out, and then there's 24. And it builds on that. And it builds on that, and it builds on that. But I think athletics is so important, because it teaches you so much about people and about how to get along with people and how to problem solve and how to, even if you fight, you still can problem solve it out. This comes from athletics, and there's a bond there with athletics that is just unbreakable.